Welcome everyone to the review of the film of 2024, The Substance. This review has spoilers, so please, if you haven't watched this film, stop the video right now. First of all, I really hope if you have watched the film, you have at least 18 years old or at least 21, 18 because the film is brutal. Second thing, I really hope you weren't eating while you were watching the film because I pity you. Let's go to the business. I've read in a lot of reviews from users in IMDb, in different websites. Wow, the film has a lot of unrealistic points, unrealistic scenes, but people they don't know the whole film is a huge metaphor. The whole movie is unrealistic, but imagine you are a viewer and you really think the movie, the motive and the intention of the movie is to be realistic. No, the movie itself is a paradox. It's so explicit, so brutal, but at the same time it's a metaphor. Unrealistic scenes when Sue, Margaret Qualley, creates in the bathroom, in the toilet, in the loo, wherever you call it in your country, that door. And she and Elizabeth left the other's body, the others no, because they are the same person. There in the dark, and we didn't know Sue was a great carpenter. Well, maybe, I don't know, Elizabeth's families were a big family of carpenters, or maybe the new and better version of Elizabeth Shue is a great carpenter because she was born that way. We don't know. Another unrealistic scene is when Elizabeth has the last switch with Shue. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember if it was the last switch, but we can see Elizabeth like a 170 years old woman. The hands back, no hair, she can barely walk, she can barely see, but within chronologically 30 minutes, Elizabeth goes from not being able to walk to having a Bruce Lee type of fight with Sue. Having a fight, even Elizabeth drags Sue around the flat. That's unrealistic. She couldn't even walk because the film is a metaphor. It's a metaphor, sorry, I was saying it in Spanish accent. And why I say the film is a huge, big, Among Us metaphor? Because it's a psychological exercise. Basically, the film uses explicit scenes. They use the body horror genre to beat the shit of yourself, to slap you in the face, to grab you from your chest, and to scream to you, love your fucking self. Who else will love yourself? Hollywood? Society? The same postmodern society who creates businesses to creating you insecurities, who constantly tells you are not pretty enough. Oh, look that TikTok. Can you see? You are not her. You are not that pretty. You are not that slim. You are not that success. That society, you rely your mental health and your physical health in society. No, please. By the way, before I forget to mention it, the substance, the activator, is an analogy from Ozempic. The film is a critique of Hollywood, that demonic industry, society, a critique of beauty standards force in women. I was going to use another verb, but not. Force. Beauty standards force in women, in men as well, in people in general, and the consequences of this. It's an obvious critique to edadism If you are more than 30 years old, you are garbage. We need to put you in the bin, sorry. We can't make profit out of you, sorry. So bye-bye. But the main plot, and I think a lot of people is losing the plot of the film because they are focusing in the explicit scenes, in the Ellie Sue monster, I think, or Sue Ellie monster, the last 20 minutes of the film. But the main plot is self-love, self-acceptance. In psychology, there is an exercise on which the psychologist, the counselor, asks you to sit down, to close your eyes, to breathe in, breathe out, to be relaxed. And the psychologist asks you to imagine yourself, your current self, with yourself of 8 years. Normally is when that person has been through a traumatic event or an event that leads to a low self-esteem, a bad self-concept of himself or herself. And the psychologist asks you, okay, can you see your, for example, 8 years old self? Yes. So what would you do right now to that kid? You will treat him bad? You will be nasty with him? No, you will treat her right. You will take care of her. So this is completely the opposite what Sue does with Elizabeth. The film is an exemplification, probably the most brutal one I've seen in a film. It's an exemplification of how the self-loathe, the self-hatred leads you to the self-destruction. And this is exactly what Elizabeth, because I remember you, they are the same person. Not Elizabeth and Sue, no, they were the same person. And this is why the film is so good, because it's an exemplification of how not loving yourself will make you hate yourself, and at the end, sadly, you will destroy yourself and everything good in your life. And why is that? If a person has low self-esteem, low self-concept or negative self-concept, negative self-image, that person probably, not every person, but probably they will fall into an identity crisis. And I'm not speaking when a teenage, young, even people on her 30s, 40s, everyone has a different path to find her true self. But when you fall into an identity crisis, it's because you don't accept yourself. You want to run away from yourself. And this is when you copy someone on social media, you've seen on social media, you change completely yourself to escape from your true self. You don't want to be yourself, you want to be someone else. But when you are someone else in your body, seeing your face every day, you're still not happy. And during this process, little by little, you went through self-identity crisis to self-hatred, self-loathe. And that's exactly what happens in this film. You know when I realized Elizabeth hates herself? When she gives birth to herself, to Sue, Sue checks herself on the mirror. Wow, what amazing booty, all firm. I'm so much younger now. Wow. Have you realized in this scene, Sue leaves Elizabeth's wet and naked body on the loose floor, on the bathroom's floor, like that? Because that the male voice explains to Elizabeth, you need to inject is the verb, you need to put this substance in yourself. I don't know if the voice explains practically Elizabeth will need to give birth to the younger version of herself. We don't know. But that voice, that male voice, explains you will be two bodies, but the two of you are one. We don't know if Sue and Elizabeth shares the same mind, the same ethical and moral traits, the same spirit, same soul, if you believe in that. But I wouldn't leave my older version of me laying naked and wet on the bathroom room. Even when I was watching that first scene, I thought, okay, yes, it's a shocking thing, but Sue, the new version, we didn't know yet the name, but the new younger version is going to put some clothes on Elizabeth, and she will place Elizabeth not in the bed, because sleeping with yourself is a very weird thing, but she will place Elizabeth in a sofa, in a couch, nothing. Sue leaves that poor body on the ground. So that tells you, if they share the same mind, the same psychology, the same spirit, the same soul, she hates herself. She doesn't want to do anything with the old version. Another exemplification of identity crisis, a low self-esteem, is when Elizabeth and Sue compete with each other. And these scenes when practically they compete with each other like rivals. Like no, not like rivals when because you respect your rival, like enemies. And I was almost screaming at the screen, "You are not another person, you are yourself." Why instead competing each other? Maybe they treat each other right, like a motherly figure, Elizabeth to Sue. But no, they don't do that. They compete each other. And I was screaming, "You are one! You are the same person!" But this is a great example of how people who doesn't love yourself treat himself bad. How you damage yourself because you hate yourself or you think you deserve being treated bad. Another debate or topic to discuss is if Elizabeth is a good or is not a good person. And this is in the second film of the part when they treat each other bad, when they abuse each other bad. Because I thought, okay, if Sue is abusing Elizabeth's body, extracting the liquid from her spinal cord, and finally you could see pus and the back of Elizabeth's body completely rotten. This is how was Elizabeth when she was young, and this is how she became successful. That's another debate. We are in the second film of the part. Elizabeth and Sue and Elizabeth literally are trying to destroy each other. And at some point of the film, practically everyone, we forget they are the same person. But again, this is an exemplification of how not loving yourself can destroy you. And this is what happened in the third part of the film at the end. Before I was explaining you this exercise about seeing your younger self or your older self and what type of relationship or what type of things you will say or you will do to that younger or older self. So check this out and check how Elizabeth and Sue communicate, because they don't even communicate. They try to get their revenge upon the other one. Instead writing notes to each other, "Oh my god, Sue, I think you named yourself Sue. Congratulations for the TV show." Sue to Elizabeth, "Oh my god, thanks so much. And don't forget, even if you are 50, 60, 70, it doesn't matter. You are still beautiful. I will make you feel proud of ourselves." Nothing, because she can't. The director, producer, and writer, by the way, is a French woman, wants you to have this type of epiphany. If you don't love yourself, maybe you are doing the same Elizabeth is doing to Sue and Sue to Elizabeth. No so drastic and no so extreme, but maybe in a long time, yes. And speaking about epiphanies, the only epiphany Elizabeth has is when she wants to finish the experiment and she needs to put this black substance into Sue. The black substance is always gone, but then she stops because she realizes she has this epiphany. Sue is herself and she stops. No. And this is when Sue realizes, and when they practically fight for their lives, no, it's the same person. And Sue wins the battle and starts the last 20-30 minutes when Sue gives birth to Ellie Sue monster, and this is when the movie gets funny, dark funny in a very super and twisted way. This film is the extreme, no, not the extreme, the beyond extreme version of the psychological exercise I've explained in this video. The thing I don't like about this film, because falls into hypocrisy, is that shows about the Buddhists. Why the films falls into hypocrisy? Or maybe it's a type of meta critique. The films, the creators itself, they are critiquing themselves for being hypocrite. And why is this? Because the whole film is telling you, yes, love yourself, otherwise who the fuck is going to love yourself? But at the same time, they have any opportunity to praise the body, I'm going to say body, of Margaret Qualley in those long shots of her buttocks. When Sue is doing the gymnastic, the fitness video, come on. That is a very thin line between a hot video and soft PORN. Come on. Because the scene in the bathroom when the first switch occurs and you can see a nudity, full frontal, the breast, the buttocks, maybe it's justified. When they show the VAGINA, maybe that's not justified. But yeah, well, nudity, I'm not a prude person. Well, maybe with another light, a little bit, not that bright, but this is what this film is about. It's extreme, it's explicit. That first scene in the bathroom is not that bad, but those scenes when Sue is recording the video clips, the fitness TV show, come on, that's not necessary at all. By the way, have you realized in that New Year's Eve show, there is a little girl of 8 years old, maybe 9, watching the show when the dancers are practically naked? I'm not a prude person, I repeat, but that's not appropriate for a little kid. The worst, later, we can see the kid with her mom all covered in blood. Why the parents still knowing Nickelodeon, Quiet on Set? Why the parents still force the kids going into this business, this industry? Why? I really wanna think this is a critique of parents allowing this, putting their kids into this business, the loss of innocence, how this industry, Hollywood, treats kids. If you know, Nickelodeon, Quiet on Set. For me, that scene with the kid all covered in blood, for me, that scene was the most disturbing scene from the whole film. Because I've watched a lot of horror movies, gore, I don't like gore, but since this type of weird scenes with animals and with kids, no thank you. No, that's beyond disgusting. They shouldn't do this type of scenes. The parents shouldn't allow this type of scenes. But, it's Hollywood. For me, the most saddest scenes from the film is when Elizabeth is by herself in the hospital after the car accident. The film talks about the loneliness, of course. That was heartbreaking. But the scene when Demi Moore wipes her off, but in a brutal way, her own makeup, I was screaming internally, no, don't do that to yourself. And I've read Demi Moore was in pain for several days after that. I wish I was with Elizabeth in that scene, trying to stop her and yelling at her, stop doing that! Can you see you are hurting yourself? No, she can't. And that's why the film is so good, because people with low self-esteem, and when they start to hurting themselves, they can see that they are hurting yourself. So that's why the therapy is so good, because little by little, a person who has low self-esteem will realize how bad was with herself, with himself. These things you can see in others, you can see in yourself. And that's why sometimes the therapy is necessary, because even if you try so hard, you won't be able to see it. That's why therapy will lead, good therapy, I need to say, and a good therapist will try to help you with. Try to see this for yourself, into yourself. Thanks a lot for watching the video. I hope you like it. Commenting, please. So sorry if I didn't make myself clear. It was a very difficult topic because I have the same video in Spanish, and to make that video was almost impossible as well. Thanks a lot, and please remember, love yourself. If you don't have mental and physical health, you don't have anything, so please, love yourself.